Talking there about things like CE5, where there are groups that do meditation and they draw the phenomenon they claim to be engaging with a non-human intelligence. Is that what's concerning you, that those kind of so-called CE5 events, which are allegedly attracting the phenomenon, engaging with a non-human intelligence, the risk you see as a Christian is that that might be demonic?
I do. It's just the power of suggestion. I have a friend that does some of this, and I've seen them just gradually drawn in to this type of belief.
All right, better shots fired. It looks like Congressman Tim Burchett has some reservations about new whistleblower Jake Barber, who came out at the end of January, right before Trump's inauguration, that weekend right before. A big News Nation exclusive. I covered it all over the channel. I'm sure you've heard about it, right? The egg UFO guy. I think that's the best way to describe it. And yeah, some comments from Tim Burchett saying that he thinks he may be a plant to steer us off course. All right, so I've got the story. Let's jump in. Now, this was first reported by Askapol. They put out a sort of teaser for an upcoming story, and that's the main takeaway, right? Tim Burchett saying he may be a plant to steer us off, right? This guy is not who he says he is, and, just put into, the big word, right? Obfuscate, right? Muddy the waters, if you will, right? And there may be a clue as to why Tim Burchett has said this. If we go back, thanks to Red Panda Koala here, we go back to a clip, we can see that maybe the way that Jake Barber describes, his process of dealing with UFOs, right? Because they've set up a team to go out and, summon these UFOs, right? And be able to potentially bring them down. And they do it telepathically, right? Psionics, that whole thing, right? Well, listen to what Tim Burchett has to say about these protocols that are honestly quite similar.
I think that there is a movement in the UFO community that people are opening themselves to demonic suggestion. I know people are doing seances and things to bring these craft down or in or something like that. And to me, it reeks of a demonic suggestion. You open yourself up to that. My dad used to say, if you open yourself up to that, that's when it happens. And not within the UFO movement, but I worry about that because there is a growing community that's what they do, and they talk about their spiritualism and things like that, and it has all the essence of a classic seance, and I worry about that. I really do.
So you're talking there about things like CE5, where there are groups that do meditation and they draw the phenomenon they claim to be engaging with a non-human intelligence. Is that what's concerning you, that those kind of so-called CE5 events, which are allegedly attracting the phenomenon, engaging with a non-human intelligence, the risk you see as a Christian is that that might be demonic?
I do. It's just the power of suggestion. I have a friend that does some of this, and I've seen them just gradually drawn in to this type of belief. And to me that's very disturbing. That's very disturbing. And I hear members of Congress talk about the demonic suggestion of this type of activity. So I try to stay afar. I don't, as I've stated many times, my main concern is what are we spending tens of millions of dollars on? If they tell me this thing, if it doesn't exist, why do we keep spending money? And then why won't they issue the reports to a member of Congress? That's been my major concern with this. And as I've delved into it, I've found out about this community, and it is a growing community.
All right, so you hear that and you think, it doesn't sound like Tim Burchett. Now that clip is from April 2024, right? Because Tim Burchett made these comments, honestly, not too long, just a couple weeks after Jake Barber's come out, right? This is all new, right? So Tim Burchett saying that is a big deal, right, about Jake Barber, because everyone is getting behind Jake Barber and his team and what they're going to do, and they're going to bring disclosure and all this stuff. So, and Tim Burchett is, been with the UFO topic for quite a while, right? And he's ingrained. He's one of the, few Congress people who has stuck with this the entire time, right? And a lot of people like him and trust him. I like him, we don't necessarily agree politically on everything, but I don't agree with anybody politically on anything, to be honest with you. And I hate politics, but he's just a good old boy, Southern good old boy. And I really like Tim Burchett's approach to things. And he seems like a smart cookie, about a lot of things. He can see through BS. Him saying this about Jake Barber is kind of a big deal, and I'm curious how the rest of the community is going to respond to this, to be honest with you. And to be fair, one of the other Congress people who has been looking into UFOs for quite a while as well, since the very first hearing with David Grush, right, is Eric Burleson. And wait till you hear his comments about Jake Barber, because honestly, I'm stunned. Take a look.
I was curious, have you been able to check out that new whistleblower, Jake Barber?
I haven't.
Allegations?
No.
Oh, no?
Is he the one that was one of the people that was working with David Grush?
I believe so.
I've heard, okay, so I heard an interview. I've been caught up with so many other things. I need to look him up.
I think it was Ross. He was on News Nation with Ross.
Mm-hmm. The British guy?
Yeah, check it out. Because I'm curious if you guys are going to maybe want to bring him in to hear his testimony.
Wasn't he talking about... okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I'll look.
Check him out.
So again, shout out to Askapol there for doing all the reporting for the Tim Burchett comments, the Representative Eric Burleson comments. I'll put a link in the description. Please go check them out. I have an annual subscription that I bought from them last year and renews in March, which I will renew. I highly recommend supporting them because Matt Laszlo, who's a reporter for them, he's like the only guy that's out in Washington, D.C. asking these questions and getting us these stories, right? Asking about UAPs. So I highly recommend supporting Askapol and Matt Laszlo. Do yourself a favor, go sign up. I get nothing from doing this. It's not a sponsor, no support. I'm just doing it because I think you should support them. All right. So again, link in the description. Go support them. Check them out. Now, let's get to these comments by Representative Eric Burleson. I'm shocked, stunned even. Representative Eric Burleson doesn't really know who he is. I haven't really heard his testimony, right? It's supposed to be a huge thing. And again, Representative Eric Burleson is on top of this. He's been covering this quite a bit, right? The UAP is not just some regular congressman looking into this. This is one of the main guys who's been following this. And in fact, he went on News Nation and said this.
I've been reaching out to Trump's campaign and to his policy team, trying to get them to consider UFO disclosure.
What have they told you?
Well, do an executive order on that. And I think that Chuck Schumer, it's one thing I think Chuck Schumer and I can find an agreement on is that the American people, really the world, deserves to know this.
So Representative Eric Burleson is talking to Trump's team. Now, granted, that interview is days after, the inauguration. So just after Jake Barber had come out, literally days after, right? And he's going to ask Trump for UFO disclosure, right? And he doesn't know anything about Jake Barber and his team. And that's a little different than what Jake Barber has kind of stated, because he's saying he's working with the government to bring us disclosure over the next 12 months. Is Eric Burleson not aware of this? Is Tim Burchett not aware of this? Are these people not aware of this? Are there just all these different journeys happening? Or are people, misrepresenting their journeys, right? Are they misrepresenting what they're doing or what they've done or who they're in contact with, what's happening, right? Because how can Eric Burleson go and say that on News Nation and talk about that and go talk to Trump's team and not even have heard of Jake Barber and his story? And I'm looking at, what I mean? Like it something's not adding up here, right? It clearly must have not been that important. Even Congress members don't even know about it. And the ones that do, like Tim Burchett, don't even trust him. Think he's a plant to steer us off, right? Or that he could be. I mean, this is so strange, I have to admit. It's strange, but predictable. Because this is how it always goes. Am I right? So predictable. It's strange, confusing, but I'm kind of used to that at this point, right? The strange and confusion. The strangeness and the confusion. It's all become just predictable in a way, right? Nothing is ever just clean cut. There's always something like this. So, I don't know. Is Jake Barber a plant to steer us off? You know, according to Tim Burchett, that may be the case. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hit me with it. All right, we'll see you guys in the next video. Links in the description. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.